What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another session of Coffee and Martial Arts. Salute, salute, salute. Cheers. Oh, yes. Great. And today we have another amazing show. And this show is actually special because we're doing a tribute or an homage to the legendary Grandmaster David German, okay? With the help of my good friend, Maestro Joe Rebelo, who's going to be here in a sec. But before we bring him in, I need to make the proper announcements. Let's see. Remember that we are going live through our Facebook page, Master Frank Soto, Kinetic Dragon. Please follow the page and subscribe. That really helps. It makes a difference. Each one of you that click on the page makes a big difference. So please do so. Okay, that really helps. Okay, we're also going live through the International Hall of Fame fan page of Facebook, the International Hall of Fame of Argentina. Okay. It's an amazing group of martial artists led by Master Juan Martin Alvarez. Saludos, salud, maestro. There you have the issue of June, okay, where we had a couple of articles. We have this article, and also my good friend and collaborator Axel Cardenas had his own article there. Okay, that magazine still goes on paper. That's the only one in Argentina that does that, martial arts wise, and also digital, of course. Okay, we are also going live through our YouTube channel, the Kinetic Dragon. Yes, sir, Kinetic Dragon channel. Please subscribe, okay? Now, if you like this video, like and share, okay? And subscribe to the channel and click on the little bell so you get a notification every time we go live, okay? Great. So, like I was saying, we have a great show today, and we have here with us Grandmaster. There we go. That's a good-looking lad. Yes, sir. Okay, so we have Grandmaster Joe Rebelo, who is going to talk to us about his experience with the man and, just bring tons of information, very interesting information, because we're not just going to talk about Maestro German, we're also going to talk about his Thai system. So let's bring in the man of the hour, my good friend, Grandmaster Joe Rebelo. Hello, sir. Are you there? Can you see me?
Hey, guys. The question is, can you see me? There I am. Peekaboo. Cool. Well, thank you for inviting me once again. Greatly appreciate it. Glad to be able to talk about one of my instructors and his legacy and his art. It means a lot to me, and really glad to educate the general public about David German and the legacy of Thai. So ask away.
Okay. Well,
that's Mr. German cranking me with a Chinese linking ring at his studio in West Covina, California. That was the first time we ever met.
Nice.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you, sir. You're frozen, but I can see you. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Okay, so could you talk a little bit?
Much better.
Can you hear me, sir?
You bet.
Okay. Could you talk to us give us a brief history or background of Mr. German, please? Who was he? What was he about? What was his background? And teachings and all of that, please.
Sure, by all means. So David German was born in California. His father was an auto mechanic by trade. And young David German found out, and there's Mr. German with me at my studio in New Bedford, and we're going over short form 3. And we did a video on that particular form and Ty's orientation of the form. But David German was a young man who the first art he ever learned about was Budo Jiu-Jitsu, and that was taught by Al Thomas in El Monte, California. Actually, no, I should clarify that. There wasn't art before that. The first art he ever learned, he used to study at the Japanese Community Center in Covina, California, and his instructor, Kimura Sensei, was teaching jiu-jitsu for children, which were basic escapes from basic grabs and basic holds and throws. And he got his junior black belt. Well, actually, back then, they just awarded, he got a black belt from Kimura Sensei. And then he found out about Al Thomas that was teaching at the Budokan in El Monte, California. It actually was an old bowling alley that had been converted into a huge dojo. And again, Al Thomas, the founder of Budo Jiu-Jitsu, had studied several different Japanese martial arts, and he would act as a stopping point for many traveling martial arts groups. So young David would sweep up the dojo and clean up the dojo, and these different instructors in judo and jiu-jitsu and aikido and Japanese swordsmanship and naginata, they would all stay in these extra rooms for ukedesh or disciples. And they would stay while they were visiting and practicing. And because David was the main person cleaning up, many times they would use him as an uke. Well, what happened was Al Thomas was not known for being prompt and on time. A lot of times people would be stuck waiting outside the dojo. So one day, young David found out that in the bathroom, there was a window that had a latch on it. So what he did, he unlocked the latch. And if Al Thomas wasn't there to open up in time, he'd go around the back of the building. He'd climb up and he'd climb in through the open window, and he'd open up the dojo and let everybody in to get ready for class. So Al Thomas would roll in whenever he rolled in and find that people were on this floor training, getting ready for class and everything. And he was like, "Who did this?" And David said, "I did." That maybe said, "Cool. Here's a set of keys. That way you don't have to climb through the window anymore." So he's training with him and learning all these different arts as well as Budo Jiu-Jitsu. And like I said before, his dad was an auto mechanic by trade. Well, there was one place that specialized in doing transmissions, and that was in Pasadena, California on Walnut Street. So young David gets in the car with his father to bring this car over to get worked on and whatnot. And he sees that around the corner, there's a martial arts school. And that was Ed Parker's original Kenpo Karate studio.
We lost you, sir. Hello? Okay, we're losing the signal. We stayed at anybody watching this? Let me check. Okay, is it me or hello? No, I think we're still going live, right? If anybody's watching, please make a comment, see what's going on. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry guys. Let's bring some comments. John Steven Bradshaw, beautiful room. Thank you, sir. Martín Vesga, saludos, Master, un abrazo grande. Saludos, Martín, gracias, maestro, un abrazo. AKKA Kempo, saludos. John Steven Bradshaw says, awesomeness. Are we there, sir?
I'm back. Are you back? I'm back.
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry. I'm trying this other computer, and I didn't realize there'd be problems with the connection.
That's okay. No worries. So we were at, they were driving, they got to the transmission place and they saw the Ed Parker studio.
Right. So young David walks in and meets young, I think 29-year-old Ed Parker. And because his dad was a mechanic, they had money. And so his dad had to bring cars regularly in to have transmission work done on them. So every time that David's father had to bring in a car,
Okay. Okay, we're losing you again, sir. We lost you again. Okay, let's see. So let's bring in some comments. Sorry, guys. We're having some connections problems. Mr. Rebelo is having some connection problems with his new computer. Oh, my. Okay. International Hall of Fame. Saludos, maestros. Casa de la Cultura China, Santa Fe, Argentina. Abrazo de corazón. Ernesto Colbrenner. Saludos, Ifu. Gracias. Okay, John Steinbradshaw. Okay, do you use traditional techniques or do you pioneer technique? Both. Okay, let's see. Leonardo Cortés Cordero, Master, un fuerte abrazo y un placer medio entender al Master Rebelo. Así, seguro. Gracias. Saludos. Sammy Ibrahim, salud, gentlemen. Salud, maestro. I'm sorry we lost connection. Maybe he's going to get his whole computer. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. Okay, let's see. Maestro Marcel de Jong, can see you, but Joe Rebelo is frozen. Yes, now we lost him. Sorry about that. He's fixing his thing probably. We'll see if we can fix and make it better. Bader Dave. Greetings from Dave Mondo in Ohio. Salute, sir. Yay for more Kempo history from Kempo Joe. Love the story. Salute to you both. Salute. Let's see. We have Mr. Rebelo trying to come back here. Let's see if he goes in. Checking. Hello, sir. Are you there?
I hear you. I had to reboot.
Okay.
My apologies.
No, that's fine. No worries. That's
like I said, I'm trying this with another computer. And I'm sorry to all our viewers. So when we were just discussing about young David German going to train with Ed Parker, and he would take a private lesson every time that his father had to bring a car to have the transmission done, which at that time, a private lesson with Ed Parker was $5. I know we look now and think, wow, $5 for a private lesson with Ed Parker. Wow. So he was actively training with both instructors at the same time. And when each instructor obviously knew that he was studying with the other, they'd pick his brain. So Al Thomas would go, oh, what'd you learn with Ed Parker the other day? And he'd show it to Al Thomas. And Ed Parker would say, oh, what'd you go over with Al Thomas in your last class at the dojo? You'd show him. So then now they're comparing. And, of course, young David is the beneficiary of this because each one of them are talking, discussing different things regarding with each other, discussing how they would approach how the other taught and what was taught. Because Ed Parker was already a judo black belt. People don't realize that. He had gotten his black belt in judo. That was the first art he ever learned. That and boxing, because Mr. Parker's father was a middleweight contender and ended up being the boxing commissioner for Hawaii for 35 years. So boxing was always integral to the Parker family. And he had studied with Rubber Manigami, who was also Wally J's instructor in the art of judo in Hawaii as a child growing up as well. So they would bounce off each other, and then David would go back, and he's getting all the benefits of both. So eventually what happened was Al Thomas had David German teach as an assistant instructor at the Budokan in El Monte, California. And it was funny because, he got his first check from Al Thomas, and he didn't have a bank account at that time, so he gave it to his dad to cash it for him. So his dad cashed it for him and gave him the money and whatnot, and he was so proud and so happy. And it was funny because many years later he found out the check had bounced, and David German's father couldn't bring it to himself to tell his son that the check had bounced. So he just gave his son the amount of money. He's telling him that the check had cleared. But what happened was, by working with both gentlemen, at one point, Mr. Parker's, as he was building the new studio, which most people know as the Ed Parker studio on Walnut Street around the corner from the original school, that Mr. German and his son were instrumental in helping build that building, putting in the heating and air conditioning system or whatever, and the water system. So they were instrumental in helping build that actual physical location.
Nice.
And Mrs. Parker knew that. They were longstanding friends of the Parker family and whatnot. So when Mr. Parker was offering franchises, Ed Parker Kempo Karate franchises, David was very interested. So he ended up opening up the two first Ed Parker franchises in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that was, I believe, 1961, I want to say. So they had opened up these two franchises, and they brought Mr. Parker in to do a demonstration in Las Vegas. And so Mr. Parker comes in, he does his demonstration, and at the end he says, "I want to introduce my number one guy here in Las Vegas." And he ends up calling up the Shotokan karate guy who was a local instructor. And David and his father, they're devastated. They're like, "What the heck is going on? Here we do all this stuff for you, and we have two of your franchises, and you don't call us as your number one guy in New Las Vegas." So afterwards, they had a discussion with Mr. Parker, but the damage had been done. So at that point, they parted ways with Mr. Parker. And I remember when I talked to Mr. German about this, and he said, "You know what? On the trip back from the demonstration, my father did two things he had never, ever done or said to me. One, he told me he was proud of me. And two, he told me he loved me." He said, "My father had never told me he loved me before that day." So they went back to the studio and they took down the Ed Parker listing, and they said, "Well, what are you going to call it then?" And he said, "Well, I had this idea bouncing in the back of my head. All this time I've been working on different transitions, and these different actions, and how to incorporate them. So why don't we call it Thai Karate? Transition, action, incorporated." And that's how Thai Karate was founded.
Wow.
And then he took the foundation he had learned from Mr. Parker, and also the jiu-jitsu he had learned from Al Thomas. And he had been playing around with looking at different points, different transitional actions, and how to incorporate from Kenpo into the jiu-jitsu and back and forth. So that became the foundation for Thai and Thai Karate. Now, Thai Karate has gone through many incarnations. Later on, he would get involved with Master Du Wei, or Wei Feng Du, who was the Grand Master of the White Tiger Kung Fu system. And he had met with other individuals such as Brian Adams and Parker Linnikin, who was all working with Wei Feng Du, and started to learn this Southern style of Kung Fu, which is very similar in a lot of ways to a White Eyebrow or Bak Mei system. And he was learning empty hand forms and weapon sets from him and incorporating that in with his other training. and then got involved with the Tracy system because he knew both Al and Jim Tracy. Matter of fact, it's a funny story that Al Tracy tells. He was at Mr. Parker's studio, and he was going to spar David German, and Ed Parker looks at turns his head to Al and says, be careful, this guy's grappler. He's going to shoot and try to throw you, take you down. So it's like, okay. So they're sparring, and suddenly David goes to shoot in. And Al knew he was going to do, so he drew the cat and wham! Front kicked him in the face. And there's only 2 times I ever heard of anybody, really, really doing any damage to David German. The other person that did, he was in good company, was Gene LaBelle. And Gene LaBelle was grappling, and a young David German had a temper. He always felt he had something to prove. So apparently he was grappling with Gene LaBelle and must have shot in on him or whatever it may be. And Gene broke his leg.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We lost him again. Okay, let's see. John Stephen Bradshaw, where are you guys streaming from? From our own studios. Mr. Rebelo from his studio in Massachusetts. Myself from my studio here in Mexico. Thank you, sir. You art plus boxing or you art plus wrestling? With when do you feel the fight game is evolving into today, the present? Both, sir, of course. Both included. MMA. There's a lot of knowledge in this room. Thank you, sir. Sammy Ibrahim, can you elaborate as to why Parker backed the Shotokan Karate guy is the #1 guy in Vegas? Let's see. Let's ask him. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if he's coming back. Hold on a second. Trying to get the image in. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. I'm back. Sorry about this, folks. I'm trying with another laptop, and apparently there's more problems than I anticipated. My apology. So I saw the listing from Sammy Ibrahim asking why Mr. Parker went with the Shotokan guy. All I can guess is that person might have been more well-known in the Las Vegas area at that time. And David was a young teenager. I don't think David was even 20 at that time. But still, it was, I don't know the mindset behind Mr. Parker and why he did what he did. All I know is he did it. And, he went to apologize afterwards, but it was too late. And that's sad. And, and again, David German always loved Mr. Parker. He always appreciated Mr. Parker and what he did. In one way, it was one of the best things that ever happened to David German because that's what inspired him to create Thai as a system.
Nice. And I was going to ask.
Any other questions?
Yes.
I saw
when did they build the Pasadena studio? Which year? Do you remember that?
Had to be before 1961, so I'd say the late 1950s, early 60s. I'd have to double check the year the second building was built, the original. I know that Chuck and Mr. Parker made their famous 8mm film in 1961, so it had to be before that. So they helped build the building probably in the late 1950s. Because as I mentioned, David German had his 2 studios open in Las Vegas in 1961, and that was the year I was born.
Okay. And when he opened his studio in Las Vegas, the one in Pasadena was already built, right?
(1961) is already built and established, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say the late 1950s.
Okay. So we have somebody. Let's see.
Which year Mr. German was here.
Jose Antonio Fonseca.
Where I have a picture of his grave site, his actual gravestone.
Okay. Good morning, Master Frank and Master Rebelo. Interesting anecdotes. A question for the guest master. Do you think that if Mr. Parker were alive today, there would be something like the definitive campo?
I don't know what you're referring to by definitive Kempo. I mean, Mr. Parker defined Kempo when he wrote Infinite Insights into Kempo. You know, people don't realize that in the Infinite Insights series are Mr. Parker defining Kempo. So you have to elaborate on what you mean by that term.
Was Mr. German's Thai karate system,
You know, I think.
a Kempo system?
Go ahead, please. Thai is Thai. Thai is a combination of Ed Parker's Kempo and also Tracy Kempo as well, because obviously who the Tracys learned from? No, they learned from Jiu-Jitsu, Al Thomas's Budo Jiu-Jitsu, Tiger Kung Fu, and other miscellaneous influences that he had over the years, like Silam Kung Fu. You know, at one point he taught. It was funny. We had a real funny thing one day. I was talking about how many weapons I teach. Well, you claim to teach 65 weapons. I said, excuse me, in an article in Inside Kung Fu magazine, you claim to teach 90. I do? Yeah. Oh. Because he had a great gift. He had a 7-step formula to weaponry that was fascinating. But yeah, definitive Kempo. You know, define Kempo, right? You know, you know, people were asking me, you know, okay, now, I mean, Mr. Parker's been gone 31 years. Would he have added grappling? You know, like Jeff Speakman did with Kempo 5.0 and, you know, Mr. German with Thai. I don't know. You know, Mr. Parker's not here. You know, I mean, you know, there's certainly, the system was certainly open-ended enough to have another 5 degrees to add a grappling on. But Mr. Parker didn't really like grappling. He didn't like ground grappling. You know, so he had been experiences where he watched buddies of him get thrown to the ground and have big Samoans stomp on their heads. So he had seen that up close and personal. So he was like, I don't want to be there. That's not a pleasant place to be. You know? You know, again, David German gave me a lot of interesting aspects regarding grappling.
Okay.
For instance, here's a part we don't think about, right? So Frank, you and I are standing fighting, right? Hey, got a question for you. Ain't gonna be fly from the air and stomp on your head? That sounds funny, right? Sounds silly, right? Well, if you're on the ground, can't someone go above your head like they're flying and attack you downward as if they were in flight, or stomp you in the head? We don't think about that angle when we're standing. We don't think about somebody playing Superman or Ninja jumping off a building and landing on top of us. But when you're in the grappling on a ground position, those angles are now open. That compass just got put on the ground. Now they can attack you from angles that you don't normally would think about. You didn't think about that from a standing position, but once you're on the ground, your compass points change, right?
Right.
So that's one aspect that David Jordan gave me insight into, looking from those perspectives. Another aspect was understanding being more three-dimensional in relationship. You know, we hear nowadays, think outside the box. David German was thinking outside the box before it was cool. You know, David German was one of the pioneers of MMA in this country. There are many aspects of the original UFCs that were all taken from David German's open tournaments in California. He was instrumental.
Wow. Wow. So
now I'm going to go through my archives a little bit.
Yes, please.
I'm going to pull out some pictures. Go ahead, please. No, please. You have any questions, Frank? Ask away. That's what I'm here for.
I've seen a little bit of his videos, his Phantom production videos.
Up and run, line this up for you.
Right.
Okay, so. Mm-hmm. Yep, there were 4 made by Panther Productions. The Kempo Jiu-Jitsu Connection. Matter of fact, I have a couple of them right here. So let me show you. We'll backtrack a little bit. So David German produced 4 videos for Panther Productions and Joe Jennings. And he didn't want to do, right, there you go. Show that for a little longer. Show it again. Okay. So there were 4 videos done. The Kenpo Jiu-Jitsu Connection, The Deadly Art of Chin Na, and then that over there. Ground Fighting Combat Techniques, and that's him working with Ralph Anderson. And then the is choking and strangulation techniques. And when he put these out, you know, Ty, that was 1982.
Okay, you're frozen, sir.
That is Larry Tatum in 1981 when Ernie George article in that magazine. You see, oh, gotta wait. Spinning again. I'm back. Okay. In that article, in that magazine, you see. A moment. And I'll try to lift this up a little bit. Training at Transitions. David German discussing Thai. And has got his top student at the time, Mark Crawford, demonstrating different techniques. Pull it over a little bit there.
Okay.
And then next in March, there's this issue. I'm sorry. Is that a little too small? Hold on. Whoa! Ooh. Ooh, that almost fell down. I'm a go boom. Sorry, was that issue a little small to see? How about this big? That big enough? Can you see? So this is the March 1981 Black Belt magazine, and it was really interesting because in that year, that was the year that Mr. German was featured in 2 different issues of Black Belt magazine. They did a compendium and they had him in the corner with that cover and whatnot. So because he was featured in that issue, and he was also featured. Where are you, Mr. German? See, in the 20-year anniversary issue, you can see his cover is part of the 20-year anniversary. Which, by the way, this year Black Belt magazine celebrates its 60-year anniversary. Wow. I know because they started in 1961, and that was the year I was born. But again, there's numerous articles that have been done on him. Black Belt magazine also. We're going to flip over here. I want to check the year here. Now, in 1984, well, actually, nope. I'm trying to get everything in order for you so you get an idea. In 1983, Inside Kung Fu magazine had their Hall of Fame. Their Hall of Fame. Yeah, you see Mr. Parker on the cover there? Pull up a little bit. Now, here's the cool part. On page 18, line it up here. Instructor of the Year, Kenpo. Hold on. Get it right? There we go. Ed Parker. Right again. Ed Park, Instructor of the Year, 1983, Inside Kung Fu Hall of Fame, Ed Parker. But then we go down to honorable mentions. Line up here. And who's one of the honorable mentions? We see Ralph Castro. We see David German and JT Will.
Okay.
So Mr. German was definitely mentioned in good company. And then in 1984, there was a wonderful article written on him as well. There were two articles, again, Black Belt Magazine 81. And then in the June 1984, Inside Kung Fu Magazine with Jeff Imada on the cover. There was a wonderful article written on Grandmaster German. I'm getting there. And the article was called White Tiger Steps Hard, Triumph of the Kung Fu Heretic. And it's got him doing one of his classic Thai techniques with White Tiger Steps Hard with a single leg Boston Crab into Indian Deathlock, interlocking both legs to his student Mark Crawford. Great article talking about his life and career. Again, besides the blend of various techniques and whatnot and various styles, this is part of what we call Jin-Su, fast turning hands, which many people look similar to Wing Chun Chi Sao. It's basically the concept we always teach. Okay, the guy attacks us, we defend ourselves, right? Well, what happens? He blocks it. Now what? So a lot of these techniques now teach, okay, I attack, he blocks it, and now I have to counter. And trapping and locking holds that work off that. You know, we have to think about it. Hey, sometimes, you know, I know this guy does everything short of semaphore and Morse code to tell me he's going to punch me. Do I wait? Sometimes the answer is no. But what happens when I throw that attack to stop him and he blocks me? So that's one of the other aspects. Another interesting aspect, and I see you have a couple of pictures of him working it on me, and that's the Chinese linking rings. And we're back. Hello. Sorry, we're flashing out every once in a while. But again, as you see, there's a couple of pictures you have of him demonstrating the Chinese linking rings on me and locking and trapping me and using the various grappling movements from Chin Na with the linking ring. And I'll tell you, man, there's some nasty techniques with that particular implement. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Am I here? Yes, no, maybe. I guess not. Can you see me?
Yes, we see you.
Yes, no, maybe.
I hear you.
Guess not. Okay. Jump out, jump back in. Can you see me?
We see you. Yes, sir. You cannot see us, but we see you.
There I am. There he is, cranking me. So, yep. So now you see him doing the center lock on me. And there he's doing the bent arm figure 4. Basically what we know as entangled wing. And there he is locking me with the center lock. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like it. When that guy's cranking me, the ring's got no give. It just locks and traps and cranks you. You're stuck. Yeah. And there again, there's entangled wing. Boom, boom. Done with the ring. It's entangled wing with a ring. The ring drill.
Nice.
And the trapping actions with the ring. And it's really, I'll tell you, it's okay. All right. I see you. I see a big smile. I see the wonderful Soto smile. Now you're not smiling. Uh-oh. Did you lose me again?
We have a delay, sir. I am smiling.
If you can see me, I'm going to presume you can see me. So numerous articles were done on David German over the years throughout the 1980s. Yep. That center lock. Oof, painful. Painful memories. What joy. Good stuff. Good memories. There's my student Bill Horn. He's a kung. Bill Horn in the center of the picture is a black sash with me in Northern Praying Mantis Kung Fu, and that was up at the one Andy Watford. Two of his students up in New Hampshire have a U.S. An American Thai or USA Thai school. There are many incarnations of Thai. Cool. We're back. Awesome. So I'm sorry. My apologies. I'll use another laptop. I'm so sorry about this, but I'm hoping that it can be of some help and assistance. So,
okay.
Like I said, Bill was we were at a seminar in New Hampshire, and Bill was there, so we decided to have a fun picture and crank him. As Mr. German said, forced yoga. You send them, we bend them. Did you get that? I hope so. I don't know. Okay, I see smile on face. All right, so we're back. So again, like I said, forced yoga. You send them, we bend them. Yep, that's him getting cranked. Yeah, I got some. There are some wonderful techniques in Thai. Incredibly painful, incredibly wonderful. Mr. German was more than happy to show you how the techniques worked. And the beauty of it as well, Frank, was the fact that he not only told you how to lock a person, he taught you how to lock them in the hold and then stop them halfway through. And you want to talk about pain. When you had someone like locked in like a side-by-side guard, like in Yonkyo, or and then he'd lock you up and then he'd stop you halfway through. And if he did it fast enough, your joints would spiral out of they'd shatter. They just spiral right out. Spiral breaks. Wow. It's devastating. Wow. But that's how you learned. And you learned how to get the lock and hold the lock and then stop the lock halfway through. And there's Mr. German, right? He's doing one of the techniques on his son Eric. So he's got them locked here, so his son's arm's like there, and then he sticks an arm in the middle of it so he can't go any further back. Normally he wants to go backward due to the pain. And then you slide. How do you stop a circle? You put a line in the middle of it. So if you had him locked in a circular lock and he was moving back, you slid that other arm in and stopped his backward momentum and centrifugal force. Oh, man, the pain in your limb. Ooh, agony. But that was the great part about it. When Mr. German designed the techniques, again, like he took Mr. Parker's system and utilized it as foundation, changed the name. Like if you do 5 swords or 7 swords in the Tracy system of Kempo, we do dagger set. 4 move, block, chop, heel palm, sandwiching elbow. That's dagger set. Then you have different variations, like the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way up through. Then the other aspects we have from that is like we have shielding hammer, right? We block, we hammer, we elbow. Well, Mr. German would use a rearrangement factor. He'd block, he'd hammer the groin, and then drop back in with an elbow. We call that side fire. Another one based on shielding hammer is called circular fire. And we all have a whole series of techniques based on that. Block out, hammer the groin, sandwich elbow, rip, tear, hit, drop, hammer. There's a whole sequence based on that. Again, we have in Mr. Parker's system flashing elbow, flashing wing, flash in, flash out. Mr. German has that. It's called Dragon's Assault. Now, if you watch the Kempo Jiu-Jitsu tape, you'll see that Mr. German has a whole series of techniques based on that. Now, just like the Tracy's, we would use the alphabet. Here's Dragon's Assault A. In video, he doesn't describe the letters, the alphabet, but he shows the techniques so you can see how it works. Now, I should mention, besides the 4 videos done by Panther Productions, there are other videos available. And one's a really good insight into Mr. German's system. Was put up by Budo International. And this was filmed at Christian Harfouch's dojo in Pensacola, Florida. And assisting him is Kazi, who was also featured in the Panther Productions, and also Frank Beal from North Carolina. Or North Aiken, South Carolina. There we go. And he's from down in Carolina. So you gotta get a chance to get some insight into David German's Thai. This is a wonderful DVD, and it's still available. You can get it through Budo Videos. You can get it through Budo International. I also did one for Mr. German here in New Bedford on the Kempo Man. And the Kempo Man apparatus that he created for martial arts. And again, get a little close up here. I believe I sent you a picture of both the Kempo men.
I believe you did.
And what's great about it, you can work to the inside of a leg, the outside of a leg. And it's funny, only now has companies like Century caught up with it. You're back. I'm back. We're back.
I hear you.
I don't see the smile. There's the head moving. Okay, I see him. So only now has Century, with its Versus device, have what? Spread legs. We do Kempo. All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
I'm waving. You can hear me? I heard okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, we hear you. We just have a delay.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you, but we have a delay.
And there's the
connection
delay.
is not good on your end, man.
So only now is Century really kind of catching up with spread leg devices. In Kempo, we buckle a leg, we check a leg, we scoop between a leg, we lock a leg. Well, a lot of devices you couldn't do that with. Only now with their new Versus dummies can you even do that. Well, David German had that with the Kempo Man, intentionally, and have a single or double rotating arm that if you blocked it, it spun around and attacked you again. So you go bye-bye, I go bye-bye. Good.
Okay. So let's bring in some comments. If you hear me, sir, we're going to bring in some comments, okay?
Hey, I see you blinking, so I know you can see me. Can you see me now?
Yes.
I can see you.
We're going to bring in some comments.
I can see you.
Okay, we have a delay.
Right.
The connection is
So we
here.
were talking about the Kempo Man. And how, like I said, because it has legs, you can go the inside of a leg, outside of a leg, a front leg, a rear leg. And only now is Century really catching up with their versus dummy, because we've got a bunch of leg checks and hooks, etc.
We got that. Okay, let's bring in some comments. Rodolfo Guzmán, saludos Mr. Soto y Mr. Rebelo, qué grandes historias, saludos desde Chile, saludos maestro, gracias. Okay. Sammy Ibrahim, what do each of you think Mr. Parker meant when he defined American Campo as all-inclusive? Okay, let's wait. Let's keep on the question. An updated and all-inclusive version of Campo based on logic and practicality that has been designed to cope with the motor fighting problems today.
So, it's great to see apparatuses that people are doing, and David German was doing it 30 years ago with spread legs. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm working on Wi-Fi, and before the Wi-Fi was great and not so good now. I don't know why. I'll have to check and put another booster in. But
okay, sorry everybody for this, but it is what it is.
We want to talk about people who are the inheritors. There is no inheritor of Thai. I see I'm frozen. Hi. So there is no inheritor for Thai, just like Mr. Parker's system. There were people that David German were good. Sure.
So we have almost like a minute delay here.
I see you fine. I read the comments fine.
Okay, sorry everybody. This is a little bit of a problem, but it is what it is. Let's see what Mr. Rebelo has to say. In the meantime, Grandmaster Nathaniel Ortega, aloha, mis respetos a tu gran programa, Master Soto, y al maestro Joe Rebelo, gracias. Sigo la mayoría de las publicaciones del maestro Rebelo y es muy interesante todo lo que ha hecho por las artes marciales, en especial el gran arte del Kempo. Gracias por ese gran trabajo. Gracias, maestro. Saludos. Angelo Rossini, hello, gentlemen. Hello, sir. Black Knight, us from Switzerland. Hello, all the way to Switzerland. Thank you. You're cutting out bad. Yes, we know. Sorry about that. We didn't have this problem before.
I think that Mr. Parker meant all-inclusive in relationship to dealing with different types of attack. Just because someone wants to take you to the ground doesn't mean you may not want to go. Like I said, the classic phrase I gave the story with Mr. German shooting in on Al Tracy. Al Tracy kicks him in the face. Everybody sits there and says because of the UFC, everybody's going to go to the ground.
Okay, we're still losing him. Sorry, we have a long delay. on the conversation. Nice cover. Nice. Puro International. They have the good videos there.
Like I said, if you bear with me, perhaps another time we can do this with my other laptop. I'm so sorry for the delay.
No worries, sir. We'll do it again.
In regards to Mr. Ibrahim's question, wow, that long? I'm so sorry. Let me jump offline and try again. Hang on. We'll try it again. Give me a minute. Be right back.
Okay. In the meantime, let's bring some other comments. Scorch 1028 says, can Kempo clubs be using Cali Cerrada due to their relatively short length? In my experience, yes. Yes, sir. I've used Kempo clubs with or the Sombrada and the strikes, the 12 strikes of the Cali Cerrada system. It works amazing. Yes. Yes, sir. But Cali Cerrada, it's a system in itself, so it's Kempo. So
yeah, I can't get off.
It can be a good combination. Okay.
I'm so sorry. My apologies.
No worries, sir. No worries. It's all good.
Dan.
Angelo Rossini can't hear, coming out too bad. No worries, sir. Salvador Becerra, Mr. Joe Rebelo, Panther Production still exists. No.
I'm trying to, but I'm not having any luck here.
Okay, everybody, we're going to try to do this again sometime in the future because this was bad. Sorry about this, but this is normally what can happen in a live show. We didn't have this problem before. It's not the first time we do this with Mr. Rebelo, but like he said, he had a new laptop. It was supposed to be better, of course, but well, it is what it is. No worries, okay? No worries, Mr. Rebelo, Maestro.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why it's acting up like this.
But we see you, sir.
Trying to get
still looking good. So anyway, thank you everybody that watched the show today. We're gonna have to wrap it up, I guess.
So I'll try to answer the questions. I'm sorry about the breakup with this. We've had problems with this before with my other. So I'll try to go through as best I can. In regards to inheritors of Thai, David German never passed the inheritorship of Thai to any individual. There are people who received their 10th degree black belt from David German. If they did, it was in their particular system of Thai, not David German's. It was Mr. German recognizing them, individuals such as and that's Christian Harfouche. So David German recognized him
Okay, guys, so you got it there. Sorry about this, but we'll do it again for sure because this is a very interesting show, and Mr. Rebelo has a lot of information to share about Mr. German. I got to say, I met Mr. German back in, I think it was 98, 99 at the Grandmaster Larry Tatum studio. And he seemed like a wonderful man with a lot of things to teach and stuff. And Mr. Tatum had a great many insights and respect and admiration for the man. So I remember that much. So thank you, Mr. Rebelo, and thank you everybody that made comments. Sorry again. Thanks again to Scorch 1028. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Salvador Becerra. Thank you, Angelo Rossini. Thank you, Black Knight. Thank you, Makana Oke Akua, Grandmaster Nathaniel Ortega. Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Thank you, Mr. Braschow, for all the comments, but we were not talking about it. Got complicated today. I'm sorry. Señor Kunzman, muchas gracias. Saludos a todos y que tengan un maravilloso día. Pero antes de irnos, nada más cabe mencionar que, vamos a ver, tenemos el día sábado, tenemos doble partida. So on Saturday we have double feature, okay? Open Mat Talks at 11 a.m. Pacific Daytime. En español, hablemos de Kempo y la defensa personal. Then at 1 o'clock, we're going to do it in English and a special edition talking with Hiron Gracie about the 32 principles of Jiu-Jitsu. Yes, sir. Don't miss it. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to have two amazing shows, okay? Well, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope it was okay. I'm very sorry again. Deep respect, Master Soto. Deep respect, Grandmaster Ortega. Thank you, sir. Okay, guys. Have a great day. Take care. And thank you again. This was awesome. I'm sorry. We'll do it again.